beautiful sunny day. Rowie's in the garden. It's amazing. One of the things I've learned about my garden and about life is that when it's sunny, it's going to be rainy. When it's rainy, the sun will come back. This too shall pass. So here's my question. If you are planned and prepared for anything that can happen, is it possible that you could live your life feeling safe and secure, prepared for anything that can happen? So one of the things about my garden, and I always share, this is the South Island of New Zealand. It's one of the windiest places in New Zealand, apart from being the hottest, the coldest, the snowiest, the mistiest, the frostiest. It's also one of the windiest. So when I was designing my garden, when I was planning to put this thing together, and it's very unique and different, and it's designed for kids to enjoy it. It's designed because I just love things that make me smile. So my garden is full of things that could blow away. So I've got to, every time I buy something and every time I put it into my garden, I have to be really aware that there's going to be 160 kilometre-hour winds at some stage. So I have to work out how I can secure that into the ground. So I've got roosters, I've got sheep, I've got tractors, I've got solar lights, I've got plants, I've got all sorts of things that can blow away. Now the really cool thing is, I don't know whether or not my wind engineering has worked, and I don't know whether or not they're going to blow away until it gets windy. And that's my question for you. How would we get stronger? How would we get tougher? How would we get wiser if we're never tested? What's your big wind? Is it people? Is it money? Is it family? Is it your job? What in life is going to test you to make you stronger? And if you haven't got anything testing you, how could you possibly get stronger? And maybe that's and it's one of the reasons why I'm fit and strong. Because I know that if I get puffed, I overload my heart and lungs. I know that if I lift heavy, overload my muscles and bones, my body's being overloaded. It's been put under pressure so that if anything comes into my life physically, I'll be able to deal with it. Now the same mentally, if I'm not learning, if I'm not growing, if I'm not challenging my brain, one of the big horrible diseases in the world is Alzheimer's dementia. My father died of Alzheimer's. Even though he was a really smart man, even though he could speak 7 languages fluently, even though his brain was active his whole life, as soon as he stopped using his brain, stopped putting it under pressure, it rotted away. Now that's what happens to our muscles. They rot away if we don't use them. That's what happens to our bones. It's called osteoporosis, rotting of the bones. So if you don't get puffed, you don't get fit. If you don't overload your muscles and bones, you don't get strong. If you don't overload your brain, your body wastes away. So you have to keep it strong and fit. But how would you know if it's fit enough, strong enough, tough enough, wise enough to handle the stuff that happens if you're never tested? So today I've put some new solar lights in my garden. I've put a new solar little truck. I've put a couple of new plants and a gorgeous solar statue. I don't know if my wind engineering is going to work until it gets windy. So today's beautiful. There's hardly any wind. The sun's shining and it looks like nothing could blow away. But when I'm inside and there's 160 kilometre winds blowing outside, now I look at my garden and go, okay, that tree's not going to last the wind, and off it goes into the bushes. And I'll just give you a quick example. The houses around here, when we have those big winds, our house was rock solid. We had a great wind engineer and he did a top job, and our house is rock solid. There were houses on our big days of wind that lost their roof, they lost their windows, they lost their roller doors, they lost their garden shed, their dog house. We've had some amazing weather here, and I love it because it tests every part of me. It tests my mental toughness, my physical toughness, it tests our house, it tests everything. And I'm really grateful for it. And that's one of the things I'll ask you very personally. Instead of being angry, upset, annoyed about the tough times that happen in our life, could it be a really good idea, in fact, a bloody good idea, to be really thankful for it, and not only be thankful for them, the tough times, but look forward to them? Because how would we get tougher, stronger, wiser if we're not tested? If you don't jump, you don't know how high you can jump. If you don't sprint, you don't know how fast you can run. If you don't lift heavy, you don't know how heavy you can lift. And in fact, if you don't do those things, you won't be able to sprint, you won't be able to lift heavy, you won't be able to jump because your muscles and bones will waste away. Well, your brain wastes away too. If you don't use it, you will lose it. If you use it, you won't lose it. But how do you know that it works, how do you know that you're strong enough, tough enough, wise enough if you don't put yourself under pressure? So one of the things that is obviously recommended for brain health, puzzles, learn words to a song, learn katas and patterns for martial arts, learn new dance steps, study and learn your anatomy, your physiology, learn different languages, learn about the world, keep learning. So you're constantly putting your brain under pressure. But the best thing to put your brain under pressure, of course, is to overcome challenges, which is why my mantra every day is to learn, laugh, huff, puff, lift. Learn, laugh, huff, puff, lift, because of course laughing adds massive happy chemicals into your brain to make your brain stronger. The more I learn, the more my brain has to work. The more I learn, the smarter I get. Isn't that amazing? Wow. And isn't it awesome that our body is designed to be under pressure? It's not designed to sit. It's not designed to do nothing. It's not designed for life to be amazing. One of the questions that I asked just recently of a neuroscientist, I said, how come the world's become so soft? We used to be really tough human beings, particularly out here in the South Island of New Zealand. These farmers that live here, they're really tough. But we seem to have lost that. There's so many parts of the world now where people are weak. They get upset easily, they get offended easily, they don't work very hard, their muscles and bones are wasting away because they don't do physical activity. So I asked the neuroscientist, how come we've become so soft? And it was interesting. He said it's an interesting circle, because if you don't get tough or do tough stuff, if you're not put under pressure, you don't get tougher. So he used the example, we don't get cold or hot anymore because we've got air conditioning. So when we feel cold, we put a jumper on or we put the heater on. But we never used to be able to do that. So one of the things I do, particularly out here when it's snowing and really cold, and if I'm in the garden and I'm really cold, I stay there, because your body can handle cold. It produces epinephrine and adrenaline to keep you warm. It helps you shiver to keep you warm. But I want to get mentally tough. So when I start feeling cold, I keep going until I finish my job. I don't go inside and get a jumper, because I want to make sure that I'm getting physically and mentally tougher. When it's really hot out here, and we've had some days, 40, 45 degrees, and it's been really windy, really hard to work in the garden when it's 45 degrees and stinking hot. But I stay. If I've started a job, and that's one of the really interesting things about resilience and mental toughness, doesn't it come from not from being mentally tough, but you keep going when you feel mentally weak, and that produces mental toughness. So if I've started a job, I don't come inside until I'm finished. And the reason for that is I want to be resilient. I want to be tough. I want to be a never giver upper. This never give up attitude is something I think seems to be lost. So again, according to the neuroscientist, we're never hungry, we're never cold, we're never hot. If something happens, we complain, whinge and moan on Facebook, social media, but we don't do anything about it. We just whinge, moan and complain. So the brain gets stronger when you are a solution finder. So if there's a big challenge, if there's a problem, and then you overcome it, that of course gives you a stronger brain. But it seems that we don't do that anymore. And I'm being very general, and I know that there's still tough people in the world and strong people in the world, but wouldn't it be great if we could teach our kids to be mentally tough, physically strong, and the two go together? Isn't that awesome? But how would we know we're mentally tough and physically strong if we don't get tested? So my family of beautiful metal roosters over there, they're one of my great tests, because I haven't cemented them in because I don't know how to make cement, but I've rocked them into the ground. And when there's 160 kilometre-hour winds, I check the roosters because I want to see if they stay put. And then I know that my wind engineering has worked. When I'm under pressure, when I'm under stress, and I handle it, I stay calm, cool and collected, and I love the stress, now I know that my stress handling ability is getting stronger and tougher. So as I always ask, what kind of person are you? There seems to be three kinds. There's the people that get hit with a tough time, fall over and stay down, and then often whinge, moan and complain about it. The second kind of person gets hit with something hard, they fall down but they get back up again. Now they might get back up straight away. Other people takes them a little while to get back up, but they do get back up. But my question is always this: if you're a parent, a teacher, a coach, a boss, a leader, a pastor, if you have people relying on you to be tough and strong, don't you have to be the third kind of person, which is life hits hard, and it'll hit hard. That's that sporting quote that I really enjoy it. It's great to have a plan for anything until you get punched in the face. And in boxing, in martial arts, if you get punched in the face, you have to be able to handle it, because if you sulk and cry, you will obviously not do well in martial arts. But life is going to punch us in the face. And are we the person that can handle it? Are we strong enough, tough enough, wise enough? Have we become resilient enough to handle even if we've got a plan and it doesn't, and life often doesn't go to plan, isn't that right? So if we get punched in the face, can we handle it? And the reverse of that is, if you never get punched in the face, how do you know if you're strong enough? So I love the wind, I love the hot, I love the cold, and they're all things I have no control over, so how could I not like them? How ridiculous to get angry or annoyed about something that I have no control of. What do you reckon? What if we handle the things that we can, accept the things that we can't change, and of course make sure that we're wise enough, mentally tough enough to know the difference. I want the best for our kids. Adults can do whatever they want, and I share that all the time. Adults can be weak, they can be soft, they can turn the air conditioning on, they can turn the heater on, they can decide not to be fit and strong. That's an adult's choice, and I love that we all have that choice as adults. But our kids, I just want our kids to know that they don't have to be weak. We often talk about kids that are resilient, mentally tough. We talk about being able to think for themselves. Critical thinking's become an interesting word. We need to teach our kids to critically think. But then we tell them what to think instead of getting them to think for themselves. There's always that interesting scenario in the world now where there's this big story about this is what you should do, and this is what you should eat, and this is what you should believe. But how do our kids think for themselves if we tell them what to eat and tell them what to think and tell them what to believe? Wouldn't it be a really great idea to get them to think for themselves? Why am I doing this? How does it work? And be able to answer the question for yourself, because you're mentally tough. And then when you're mentally tough, how do you know that you are? You only know that when you're tested. So may there be much big wind in your life so that you know that you're mentally tough and strong and you can handle it. And then you can live your life to the max. Thank you for coming to Romax. My name's Rowie, and Romax is all about being healthy, fit and strong, mentally tough, having a career or business that you love, being financially free and having great people in your life. And isn't that living life to the max? Woo! Super duper doo! How are you? I'm sure you are amazing and spectacular and awesome. Woohoo!